quick shout for those who are curious, because this is quite important, is what tires people are starting the race on. So everyone except for 3 drivers are going to be starting on the C3 medium tire, with Lance Stroll, Oliver Behrman, and Liam Lawson all starting on the C2 hard tires. If I were to guess, Lance Stroll, they're probably just trying an alternate strategy just to see whether starting on the hards might bring some benefit. Behrman, I would be tempted to say they might be saying using him as a sacrifice is harsh. That's not what I'm implying, but just seeing what he's able to do and seeing how the hard tires cope on him, so they can know what call to make with Ocon, who is possibly up to score at his first points of the season. And Lawson, I don't hesitate to say they're using him as a sacrifice for Verstappen to see what the best strategy is for Verstappen.
One thing I'm noticing on the chart is that Alonso is using a used medium tire with 5 laps already.
Oh, yes.
That's odd to see. And then we got the dragon away. I believe there's 2 other. I think Behrman and Gasly are using a used medium tire, but there's no laps indicated on the tire, which is odd. I'm wondering if I'm seeing something's in the data set that's not quite right. That we've been seeing some quirks in the data set
Yes.
and data flow.
I'm seeing Alonso's tires. I'm not seeing the Alpines though.
I could see the
So
hash. I see the hash. Everyone's using
yeah,
fresh tires
same.
except those 3, and it's just odd.
Mhm.
So they are clearing the track.
We will be underway in roughly 5 seconds.
Referencing, do you think so will drive for Red Bull in the Japanese Grand? No, we don't expect that.
If I were to expect, the make it or break it will be, excuse me, sorry,
Or
will be
Bahrain.
I'd argue Japan, just because of the amount of experience that Lawson has, because of the fact he's raced in Super Formula. He knows the Suzuka circuit really well. He should not be making mistakes there. As we watch the formation lap get underway, which means we will be starting the race in roughly 2 minutes. And from the looks of things, everyone will be doing 2 stops, with either a medium hard or a medium hard medium tire strategy. Of course, we'll be seeing what those starting on the hard tires will be doing, but currently we don't know.
So again, you see Lawson is in the pits right now. He will. Part of the rules starting this year is that drivers who have a pit lane start will come out of the pits and do the formation lap behind everyone else, and then come back into the pits.
And for anyone who would be wondering as to why that would entirely be just because the tires will be getting really cold, really simply put, sitting in the pit lane exit. They need to be doing anything to try to keep temperature in those tires. So to force a driver to sit in the pit lane waiting for the entirety of the formation lap, their tires would get so cold they would likely have issues getting off the line, exiting the pit lane, and then would almost have to do a warm-up lap as their first lap of the Grand Prix, which, when you're already starting from the pit lane, is the last thing you need. So it's to an extent, it's a way to make it fairer to the drivers, as we see Oscar Piastri and George Russell going around the hairpin to approach the final corner to move towards their grid box.
Need to call out Nathaniel Lake Systems. He's been a member for 14, 17 months. He's cheers. He's calling, "Let's go, Max." He's again and one of several of our Max. Several people who like Max and cheer on Max in chat. So thank you again for 17 months. Again, using his super chat that he gets every month.
Just before we start, ladies and gentlemen, we have hit 1,000 likes and are hovering around 7,000 viewers. So thank you to everyone who has left a like. And buckle in. We are about to get the second race start of the year, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see who will lead through this first sweeping corner.
Still lining up. So Antonelli, we just watched Antonelli line up. And here comes Lawson into the pit lane.
Yes, we're seeing.
And here we go.
I believe that is everyone in position. Yes, I can just see Gabriel Bortoletto slotting into his grid box at the back of the grid, starting P19.
They're flying the green flag, 5 lights. And away we go. We are racing in China. And Oscar's getting a good jump on.
Yeah. Oh, it's still pretty
Ooh,
close
Norris is
between
getting
them
around the
both.
outside of Russell. So it's a
It does
McLaren
look
1-2
like,
right
yes, he
now.
does have that position.
They're still fighting.
George has indeed lost. Max has dropped behind
And
both Ferraris from the looks of things. Yes, he's lost out to both Ferraris, I believe there.
he
Yes.
has.
Impressive start
Ooh,
from both Ferraris.
Oh, this is a horrible start for Max. He's getting pressure
and
from Antonelli now.
yes, Antonelli is up ahead of Isaac Hadjar with the Racing Bulls both being near each other. As George Russell's trying to come back at Lando Norris. I'm looking further down the grid. It looks like Esteban Ocon's had a good start. Esteban Ocon has made it up to 10th. He's ahead of Alex Albon as Isaac Hadjar's managed a hold off his teammate. Oh, they're still fighting at it though. It's very close between the two of them. Tsunoda has made up the position.
Max is saying that Charles has a broken front wing, apparently. That's
Ooh,
interesting. And who just dropped down?
I believe that was Alonso, whilst he was fighting Alex.
Sainz,
It's still very
Sainz
close
just
between
dropped
them.
down. Hulkenberg has dropped
Oh,
7
yes.
positions.
Oh, wow. I'd be tempted to say something went wrong for him there. I highly doubt that. That doesn't just happen.
If we just had a yellow flag,
Especially
it's
with,
been resolved. Someone did go off track and didn't come back on, so that
I
will
think
throw
that
out a
was
yellow.
Bortoletto. Bortoletto was quite far off the rest of the pack. And Lawson is ahead of both Saubers currently. So decent start for him. He's already made up 2 places. As we see further down
Things
the
have
grid,
settled.
Doohan makes
Yeah,
up
things have settled down a little bit now.
Doohan and Behrman are fighting further behind.
Well, it's going into the
Getting
pits.
replay. Oh, that was contact between the Ferraris. It appears that through the transition between turn 2 and turn 3, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton did indeed come together, as Hamilton is the leading of the 2 Ferraris. It was hard to say who was to blame there. It looked as if Hamilton just wasn't aware of how close Leclerc was. Maybe still getting used to those Ferrari wing mirrors, as that would have definitely brought some damage to Leclerc's front wing. As we do now have DRS enabled.
Yeah, but we are on lap 2 of 56, and as you just said, DRS has just been enabled. Who's in range though?
Fairly peaceful.
No one's in range. No, Russell's in range.
Russell,
there's a
yellow
DRS chain
flag.
behind a track hazard.
I've just seen that might be some debris from either what happened with
It's a WL on
I
track sector
believe
10.
I believe that might have to do with Bortoletto, if I were to guess. There might be some carbon fiber on track, or there might be some debris kicked up. From the looks of things, yes, Charles Leclerc is saying that he will be able to survive with the front wing damage, and it will likely be changed at their first pit stop, which is estimated to be from lap 14 to lap 20.
People asking what happened to Max. Basically had a bad start, and basically Russell got ahead of him, fell back, and then the Ferraris got ahead of him.
Currently, Lewis Hamilton is looking to have rather strong paces. I do believe he is slightly closing up on George Russell. However, he will be struggling with George having DRS. Still to Lando Norris, as Oscar Piastri has managed to break DRS from Lando Norris. Gasly is reporting seeing fire from Fernando Alonso's brakes. Currently just having a look at Alonso's car.
Oh boy.
Might have just been temporary because I'm not seeing any further issues for him. However, that may mean he might be struggling on brakes throughout the rest of the session. As the moment they get that hot, they do become very hard to manage. Oh, yes, Fernando Alonso he's just dropped multiple positions.
Oh yeah. There's some.
That might be a retirement for Fernando Alonso. I'm not
Oh,
confident
that'd be
yet.
bad. His
Uh,
there was a puff of smoke from coming behind him.
yes, it looks like he
He
is
cannot
fiddling
brake.
with
He's
something.
got no brakes.
Yes, brake failure, a total brake failure. I would assume by that. And with a brake failure like that, he will be coming into the pits and likely retiring that Aston Martin, which was rather unfortunate for him. But that is how it is
So
sometimes.
what happened with Max is on the race start. Um, he got effectively what would be on the outside of the start of the turn, and the Ferraris got on the inside and basically pulled behind Russell and got ahead of him.
I do believe I just saw there in the race start replay what happened to Nico Hulkenberg and what's caused him to lose 7 track positions. He, on the exit of turn 3, went wide during whilst fighting someone and got on the gravel and just was not able to recover fast enough. So that will have dirtied his tyres and will reasonably make the rest of his race rather challenging.
Yeah.
So just seeing a replay there of how neatly
Oh,
Lewis and
they
then
just showed
Charles got past.
so
Yes. Ooh.
the side plate on the front wing got hit by Hamilton.
Yes. So that is the front left front wing end plate. Which not only which will also cause structural damage to the rest of that left-hand side of the wing, as it will be drooping down now, which means that it will be causing more damage than might be initially expected. As we see Max, from his perspective, struggling a lot to get the car turned through that first corner, which would likely be why he lost out so much.
Oh,
Oh,
playing
yikes.
he on as well. Oh, that's a
As we see,
replay.
yes,
That's what put him to the back.
that seemed to be all by himself to an extent. As we see Fernando Alonso retiring as he's pulled into the garage. Our first retirement of this race. Currently, Norris has closed up to Piastri. He's currently within 6/10 of Piastri. So that might be that might be Oscar intentionally slowing down in an attempt to keep him ahead of Russell, with Russell still being rather close. However, I wouldn't be surprised to see McLaren requesting something like that. However, Oscar is once again pulling out through the middle sector, almost out of DRS range now, which might be because if I were to assume that would be because of the fact that George Russell has now dropped out of DRS, so Piastri has no reason to assist Lando, as all that would be doing would risking Oscar's ability to win this race.
I was saying Max is done for. I mean, he's six, guys. Like, come on. I mean, it's not a great start, but like he's not out of this race.
As we're just getting another yellow flag, turn 2 and turn 3, which is where the contact between Hamilton and Leclerc was. So that might be because of carbon fiber that's been scattered on the track, as small bits of carbon fiber can cause pretty bad punctures if you go over it. Of course, as we saw in the Qatar Grand Prix last year.
Yeah, I think more likely because it was just on and off for a little bit. I think someone may have come off the track, come back on track.
It's just I don't believe there was anyone in that part of the track. I might be wrong, but it looked to be empty otherwise. I must say, very impressively from Esteban Ocon, still holding on to that 10th place, which he managed to scrap from Alex Albon in the opening stages, and also managing to stay within DRS of Isaac Hadjar ahead of him.
We just got an interesting interaction with Yuki and his engineer. He said he wanted to use more front. They told him, "We prefer you not to," and he was like, "I really like to use more front." And then they basically resented to basically told him that you do what you need to do, basically. So it is odd to see that interaction.
Nearly seems like he's auditioning for a Red Bull seat, wanting to use more front tires. As of course that is how Max usually likes to drive. But no, I shouldn't theorize. He's probably looking to wonder if he's allowed to, because of course, if he can get that, if he can push a little bit more, there's the possibility that he could catch Antonelli and finish 7th. There's also Hamilton there, some graining on his front left tire, which will be the first tire to go, if any will. As of course we've got the big sweepers of turn 12, 13, and turn 1 and 2, which do a lot of damage to those tires.
Looking right now in terms of the intervals at the moment. So Leclerc is within DRS range of Hamilton, and then there's a DRS train. Isaac starts at DRS train. It includes Ocon, Albon, Gasly, Stroll, Sainz, and then there's a gap with Behrman doing Lawson. So those are where we are. As I say that, Clark has dropped back to more than a second. So
I did just see a report from Lando also reporting some graining, saying he's struggling with that front left, as Leclerc also manages to get back into DRS range of Hamilton. Leclerc's looking pretty pacey currently in that Ferrari, and looking at that front left tire, he looks to have about the same level of graining as Hamilton, so it might just be coming down to the fact that Leclerc is dealing with it better, which would be impressive considering the front wing damage that Leclerc has by none other than Hamilton. We're getting a report from Alex Albon saying that he is feeling very comfortable with the tyres currently. So if I were to guess, he's probably
That was a
attempting
very
to.
forceful. That was very
Yeah, I must
forceful
say,
on
very
Albon's
forceful
part.
delivery.
Yeah.
I would imagine he's just working on making sure he has tyres later into the stint where he will likely attempt to try to get that position back from Esteban Ocon so he can
He
add
thinks
to
he's
his
better
current
than everyone
recovery
else on
record.
his tires.
Hmm.
That's part of what he was saying. It was very, very emphasizing that he's in a good place with his tires. So that's very odd interaction on the radio, but still. And we've just started lap 10 of 56.
Gap out ahead is currently sitting roughly, it's been ebbing and flowing between 1.4 and 1.7 seconds. As we're just getting a report for Piastri saying that they are on plan A. What plan A is
Your guess
good a
is
guess
good.
as yours.
Is it a Ferrari plan A or a
Yeah.
Ferrari plan B or C? And as we say that, Leclerc is being told that they are on plan B.
Once again,
So
because of the fact that these are different teams, plan A for McLaren could be plan B for Ferrari. So despite the fact they've got different names, they may be the same strategy. However, of course, Leclerc's race, due to that front wing damage and the fact that he's currently in fifth and a fair few seconds off Piastri, it will likely have next to no him Piastri's race what Leclerc does. Of course, then again, something could go wrong for one and well for the other. As we're also getting a report from Leclerc saying that with how the state of things currently are, he wants to be on plan A.
Verstappen losing pace to Ferrari. Let's take a look at Max at 139. Yeah, he is losing pace. Uh, um, Max did a 139.2,
Oh, wow.
and Leclerc did a 138.5. Same, and Hamilton was a little bit faster. So there's about 7/10 difference on that last lap. He is about 5 seconds
With
back from Leclerc.
Gasly has entered the pits. He is to be our first driver to pit. As we're getting a report on Leclerc's radio saying that there will be too much traffic for Plan A to work. Not a terrible pit stop for Pierre Gasly, a 3.1, not optimal as he goes onto the hard compound tires. I must say that was quite early, considering the earliest predicted lap was estimated to be about lap 14. We're on lap 11, so we've still got quite a while. As we're getting a replay of Charles Leclerc's front wing, we can see that down the straights, it is currently bouncing off the ground, the left-hand side of the front wing, which is going to be slowing him down quite a lot. Him to be that far ahead of Verstappen and able to keep pace with Hamilton, generally speaking, is very impressive from Charles Leclerc. This is currently a very strong drive from him. We are currently getting a radio from Oscar Piastri being asked if he thinks he can make the Plan C plan, which pit lap, sorry, which pretty much will mean can he stay? I would assume from how that message worked, can he stay out for long enough to manage that strategy? As we're seeing Tsunoda, Ocon, and Doohan all coming into the pits for their hard tire change.
And Dune was expected.
Likely.
And they are all going
2.8
on
for Esteban
to
Ocon,
hard
2.1
tires.
for Yuki Tsunoda. Not that I expect this will stand for long, but that 2.1 for Yuki Tsunoda currently sets the fastest pit stop record for this season, with the previous being a 2.3 for Ferrari in Australia. So well done, Racing Bull's pit team. As we're seeing, the gap out ahead has now opened up to 2.1 seconds between Piastri and Norris. Currently a race being controlled quite comfortably by the two McLaren drivers. Of course, at this stage in the race, the real question will be who of the top teams will be the first to pit, as currently the only drivers to pit are midfielders to backmarkers. So they will scurry amongst each other to try to take those top points. As we see Kimi Antonelli and Isaac Hadjar into the pits, we will see if the Racing Bulls pit crew can manage a similar stop.
Antonelli did a 2.7 stop.
Not terrible
and
for Kimi
Isaac
Antonelli.
Is a 3-second stop.
Oh, not great.
Not great,
the
but
front
not
left or the front right. That was a bit stubborn. Oh, wow. Yuki Tsunoda has jumped Kimi Antonelli during that lap, I think it was, that Tsunoda came in for Antonelli. So this is really the time where undercuts and overcuts are going to become pretty big. As luckily for Bortoletto, he will slowly begin to enter play again as people pit ahead of him. Charles Leclerc is being told that these laps are at a strong enough pace where they shouldn't be worrying too much currently. I believe, yes, Ocon and Gasly have also jumped Hadjar, as Hamilton now is being told to box. Which that will really start to tumble times. Verstappen is also told to box. Lewis Hamilton's time in the pit box, we get a
Hamilton was a 2.4 stop.
2.4. That was almost close between Verstappen and Hamilton. Did not see what Verstappen's was, but it looked to be a comfortable a 2.2. Which does mean that the Racing Bulls team still holds the record. Piastri has also just been told to box. Considering how much time people are gaining by pitting now, I don't blame them. It could get quite risky for anyone who tries to stay out for much longer, as they will just have to make up a lot of positions. And it's possible around a circuit like Shanghai, but it could be a lot easier. Oh no, I'm getting last Belgium flashbacks. George Russell is already talking about doing a one stop. Which, looking at it from an objective standpoint, he doesn't have much to lose on a one stop. He looks to have enough pace over the Ferraris and Verstappen where they won't be a threat. As Russell is being called to box, I will assume that it means that he's not doing a one stop, because I doubt he will be able to do the rest of the race on a set of hards unless those hards manage to work numbers. Not a great stop for Piastri. 3.8 second stop for Piastri. However, that shouldn't matter in the long run. George Russell gets a respectable 2.second pit stop. As Piastri and Stroll come out pretty much on the same part of track, but Piastri does come out ahead of Stroll, which means he will not be being held up by him. Of course, Stroll is yet to pit on the hard compound tyres. Neither is Ben and neither is Lawson. As we see there, George Russell overtaking Behrman, as Behrman will have a lot more degradation on those hard compound tyres than George Russell, who has just pitted onto them. Despite the fact that George Russell is still
One
driving a
thing someone just
Mercedes,
voted in
as we're getting a replay.
just said that the race is actually a battle on fuel strategies. We don't have refueling, and so basically the fuel strategy is how much do you put into the car. There is no refueling during the race, so this is not like NASCAR or IndyCar where refueling is a factor.
As we're just getting a replay there of Esteban Ocon overtaking Kimi Antonelli on the grass, no less, down the back straight. Very bold overtaking there, move there. I would expect that Antonelli wouldn't have thought there was space for that move, but Esteban Ocon decided.
Norris did a 2.2 stop, and we've got Leclerc.
And Leclerc.
Leclerc did a.
That was a decent stop, a 2 point something for sure. As Piastri does cross ahead. Oh, it's very close between George and Norris. Who's going to this is for position. As George Russell, just manages to get, I think, yes, he has got that place over Lando Norris. Lando Norris has lost out to George Russell there, as they're both trying to get past Lance Stroll now. Of course, no blue flags for Lance Stroll. He's not expected to give up this position. George Russell gets past pretty easily. Lando Norris still struggling, goes around the out of turn 8, and he does get the position. However, he would have lost out to George Russell a bit there, which means he's going to have to work pretty hard to make up this position again.
Albon is not pitted yet, by the way.
Yes.
He's now leading the race on medium, the starting medium tires since lap 15. Again, we're about quarter of the way through this race already. Again, you're listening to Race YouTube channel. We're on lap 16 of 56, 41 laps left to go.
As we do get a notification of Max Verstappen setting the fastest lap. Of course, you will no longer score points for that. That is entirely, pretty much entirely just for show at this stage. As we see Lewis Hamilton quite comfortably diving past Liam Lawson. And now the two Ferraris are also getting past Oliver Bearman, who's not putting up much of a fight. Of course, they are on completely different tyre strategies. Yes, from the looks of things, it does appear both Williams cars are going long on this first medium stint, which really they do not have much to lose through doing that. As Verstappen gets past Lawson on track, not being lapped. Luckily enough for Lawson, we won't embarrass him that much.
Albon's last lap was a 1:38.5. The only people who were faster were Hamilton and Leclerc. Yeah, Hamilton and Leclerc were the only two faster on track. Though Max was faster as well. So they're the only three drivers who are faster than Albon at the moment. That's interesting.
Currently, George Russell has also set the fastest lap, taking that from Max Verstappen. Both of them seem to, despite the fact George is now, of course, up to second. Despite the fact that the McLarens were leading the race, seem to have pretty strong pace. Not anyone I would want to bat an eye at. It is also worth pointing out that Carlos Sainz doesn't seem to be benefiting from laying out as much as it would appear Albon will. As Ferrari's now past Carlos. As Lando's getting very close, he can be very down the main straight. He will possibly go for a move. Yes, he's going up the inside of George Russell. And he does get that rather comfortably. He has gotten that, which is now second. It is third on track because that's now one is yet to pit, who has also been passed by Oscar Piastri. Now, Carlos Sainz enters the pits, so it's reasonable to assume that Albon will join him sooner or later. A 2.7 Williams team, not brilliant, not horrible. And that strategy from Williams is currently Carlos Sainz out in 18th. So this will work out pretty well for them. I
So
mean,
right now,
sorry, you go.
as things sit right now, we've got Oscar P1, Albon P2, Norris P3, Russell P4. Stroll has been passed by them, P5. We got Hamilton, Leclerc, Behrman, Verstappen, Lawson in our top 10. Norris is within DRS of Albon, and then Hamilton and Leclerc are in DRS range of each other to Stroll. So Stroll potentially going to be passed by the Ferraris soon. Well, Stroll he's doing the best he can. I mean, he doesn't have the same speed as the Ferraris do. There's different race pace between those. And as it stands already,
Yeah.
he's already been passed by the Ferraris. Lawson coming to pit. Now he started on hard tires, so he did 17 laps on a hard tire.
Which, all things considered, is probably not as long as he would have liked, as that pretty much 100% confirms that a two-stop is going to be required this year in Shanghai. As it would appear that whilst trying to get past Stroll, Leclerc did drop off from Hamilton a bit. However, he is working his way back into DRS range of Hamilton.
He's at
As
1.8 seconds off now. He's dropped a lot more. I think
oh,
the question is when does Max catch up to Stroll? Is more of a better question. Yeah, Stroll's now
as
2 seconds
Albon has been
out
called
of
to pit.
Leclerc's.
So
Norris just
before
passing Albon
substituting
on
Alex Albon,
track.
as we will see Alex dive into the pits here. It'll be interesting to see where that pops him out. If I were to guess, it will be somewhere near Nico Hulkenberg or Jack Doohan down in 15th and 16th. Speaking of those pair, Doohan has just made the move to move up to 15th past Nico Hulkenberg. Oh, no, sorry. Alex Albon has not pitted yet. He's, I'd assume he will go another lap and then pit. Oh, Lewis Hamilton has just been told over the radio that he has to swap positions with Charles Leclerc entering turn 14.
And he said that he will when he gets closer, but Leclerc's 6.6 seconds behind Hamilton. I mean, it's
Those wondering, turn 14 is the hairpin at the end of the back straight. I do
Amish Singh
understand that not everyone knows.
Amish Singh in chat is questioning if Albon's going for a one-stop strategy. And that is very much the case. I mean, he is known as the tire whisperer. So, I mean, he's done 20 laps on that medium tire. If he could get, another 5 laps, he could get onto that hard tire and get it all the way to the end of the race.
Okay, as we approach turn 14, Lewis Hamilton has not given that position to Charles Leclerc. As we also see Verstappen get past Stroll and Russell get past Albon.
So Albon has just gone to the pits. And there's the swap.
Yes, into turn 1 on lap 21. That didn't look like a great stop. 3.3 seconds for Alex Albon. That he'll suffer because of that. However, he still manages to come out in 14th, which, depending on the strategy they go for, that might work out decently. As Nico Hulkenberg also enters the pits, which might end up, yes, that will put him behind his teammate on track. And already with Hamilton giving that position, we can already see him dropping back off the rear of Charles Leclerc, which really shows how much pace Charles Leclerc has found in this Ferrari. And with an update on if we include a pit stop for Stroll and Behrman, that will move Tsunoda up to 7th, on up to 8th, Antonelli up to 9th, and Hadjar up to 12th. 10th, sorry. 10th. He's currently in 12th. Which means fin out the points once those two pit. It is worth noting that Stroll is on that original hard compound tire that Behrman is on as well. Despite that, Lawson did not cope with that hard compound tire, which could be said to be expected. He's been struggling on those tires. It's, as of course we've seen through most corners, he's been having to make adjustments on his steering wheel, which shows that he's sliding around a bit, which of course will degrade the tires faster, which could be used as an explanation as to why Lawson has been struggling on the tires so much and has had to pit a lot earlier than the other two drivers who are on the same strategy as him.
So as of
Also
right now,
worth
the only
noting
two
that
people who have not stopped yet is Behrman and Tsunoda. There's a question in chat. What was the point of swapping Leclerc and Hamilton? And I don't know the answer, to be quite honest.
if the reason they would
Do
have
you?
swapped them would have been because of the fact that they were seeing somewhere that, of course, I don't have access to Ferrari telemetry, but they were seeing that Leclerc had more pace than Hamilton. And currently, with the gap that's between them, I would dare say, as we do also see Albon starting to make up position from that first in having gotten past Gasly, with a 10-lap deficit to Gasly and an 8-lap tyre deficit to Isaac Hadjar, who he's 3 seconds off, and he will now be trying to hunt down. But yes, with Hamilton and Leclerc, Hamilton is 1.5 seconds off Leclerc now. And Leclerc, I believe, has also closed up on George Russell a little bit, which shows that Leclerc has a in this car that Hamilton, despite what we saw during the race, clearly doesn't quite have yet. I don't think it's anything to do with like team politics or anything. I think it was entirely just they saw that Leclerc had more pace to possibly get a podium this weekend. And of course, that for a team like Ferrari right now, just getting a podium will be priority for them. And if Leclerc is capable of doing that, which considering he's nearly within a second of George Russell, I completely understand why they would get him to pass Hamilton, as we also see Behrman and Stroll scrapping at it on their old hard tires.
Yeah, I can see that now. Charles is within a second and a quarter to Russell, and Hamilton has dropped back to almost 2 seconds.
Also worth mentioning, we have just hit 2,000 likes. great job, everybody, of the currently 12.8 thousand viewers.
Almost
We
13,000 viewers at this point.
Yes, nearly 13,000 as I'm saying it. As we also see further down the grid, Carlos Sainz now making up positions thanks to those younger hard compound tires.
Science is just past due it on track.
Rather interesting point is the fact that it doesn't, I might be wrong on this, but it doesn't appear that Tsunoda has closed up on. I'm going to stop that as we see Behrman have a lock up as he tries to dive bomb Lance Stroll into the turn 14 hair. That was pretty close between the two of them as Stroll ended up pulling the switch back and Behrman will be too far off to try to get the move done into the first corner.
Behrman is definitely stalking Stroll right now for 7th position.
As I say, they weren't close enough. We do see Behrman nearly get him into turn 2, which would have been quite impressive for him. As we get a report from Charles Leclerc saying that the pace of the Mercedes is unbelievable. However, despite that, he's currently showing more pace, having now caught George Russell and being within rest range. Yes, from the looks of things from that lockup from Ollie Behrman, he just entered the corner and didn't quite. And he probably would have gotten the car slowed down. It's just as he turned the steering wheel, the inside tire locked up, which meant he ran far deeper than he'd intended. So we see Charles Leclerc now rather close to the Mercedes of George Russell, within 7/10 currently. As Behrman is also once again entering turn 14, closing up on the rear of Lance Stroll. If he gets a decent run through through turn 14, he could possibly have a go into the final corner. The gap between Russell and Leclerc is now up roughly half a second. Behrman does not quite get to have a go there on Stroll. If I were to imagine, it will probably be a matter of whoever someone will get the move and then someone will dive into the pits. With that being a pair of drivers we will likely see fighting for a fair bit of the race. Something worth noting, the gap out ahead between Piastri and Norris has shrunk a little bit. I noticed earlier on it was sitting at about 5 seconds. Currently, it has decreased to 4.1. Not necessarily anything to panic about, but it is worth noting that that is how it's looking. Radio from Behrman asking to take some action. I might have missed some on-track action. That might be something as simple as saying that we need to pit, or he might be asking that the stewards do something, that there may have been something go wrong between the two of them. I might be wrong. Yes, Behrman. That's what it was referring to. Behrman has now dived into the pits, which will bump Antonelli into the points. Currently still very close between Russell and Leclerc. This is fighting for third position as Oliver Behrman does his stop. The Haas team manages a 2.9 second pit stop for him. Nothing crazy, not terrible. Alex Albon is indeed closing up on Isaac Hadjar, which could put Hadjar at risk for those glorious first points on race completion. Yes, once again, that gap between Piastri and Norris has closed up to 3.7. We are on lap 27 of 56. We have a bit under 30 laps to go as we have Bortoletto come into the pits. He had that off on the first lap, which led to him pitting. So he's the equivalent of starting on the hard compound tyres. A 2.6 for Gabriel Bortoletto. Not a terrible stop. As Charles Leclerc gets a bit wiggly into turn 14. Thank you. As he now chases George Russell down the main straight. However, he will be too far off to try anything into that first corner. We do still have, worth mentioning, Isaac Hadjar, still rather close to the rear of Kimi Antonelli, currently fighting for 10th. Net fighting for 9th with Lance Stroll's eventual pit stop. With after Behrman's pitting, he has come out in 17th and is currently on the medium compound tires. It is no, I would dare say it's possible they might try a one stop, but I highly doubt that. Putting a rookie through that's pretty harsh. Doohan is also rather close to the rear of Sainz. Lando Norris sets the fastest lap of a 1:36.754. I was a bit off in my possible suggestion that we might get a new race lap record. I will imagine that Schumacher's record shall stand for a bit longer if these are the sorts of if that's what we're getting. Update for the Drivers' Championship with where George Russell will currently finish. He'll be on 35 points and second in the championship. We're getting a report from Lando Norris, Lando Norris's race engineer, saying we'd like you to use some of that pace you've got, with, of course, the gap now being closed down to 3.2. However, he says he doesn't want to push it up to Oscar and then end up in the dirty air, which is a reasonable complaint. However, of course, if you get up into that dirty air, there's also the possibility for overtaking. So I'm not sure whether there's been some agreement that Piastri won't be overtaken, that we're going to hold position. I haven't heard any report holding position, but it is definitely possible that that might be the issue that we've run into. And the thing is, Norris isn't under much threat from Russell or Leclerc behind Russell, with the gap to Russell being 2.8 seconds. So I don't think Norris has much to worry about. If anyone has anything to worry about, it would be Oscar Piastri, with Lando Norris still closing up that gap even further. Charles Leclerc has dropped back a bit. Okay, we're just getting a report from Lando Norris that Oscar has been asked to help Lando. I would assume that by that he means like giving him DRS to support possible threats behind. But I'm still perplexed by the fact that there aren't really any threats behind, as George is still 3 seconds off, and Leclerc's now dropping off from Russell. He might be struggling on his tyres. So I'm not really sure what's coming of that, as Gabriel Bortoletto now sets the fastest lap with a 1:34.
We're at we got 27 laps to go in this race. We're already past the halfway mark. Again, you're listening to Racing to YouTube channel. This is Grash. Again, Evan has been doing most of the talking this morning. I want to thank the 13,500 of you who are watching right now. We're almost to 138,000 subscribers, so thank you for that. We've already gone over 2,300 likes. Thank you for that support. Helps us with the channel and the algorithm. God knows how that works at this point. So at the halfway point, anything stands out particularly in this first half of the race?
Yeah. If I'm to look at the first half, a whole, one thing that's definitely a bit unexpected is the fact that, well, Of course, Lance Stroll hasn't pitted yet. We would have imagined that he would have pitted by now, which would lead me to believe that he might be going for that elusive one stop, which might keep him in the points, which means that Hajar might work a little bit harder if he wants to score those first points.
Oh, I did not notice
And
that. He's
also
done.
the
Yeah,
yes,
29 laps on the
he's
hard
been out
tire.
on one compound.
Wow, that's interesting.
Which one thing I do wonder is what is the reason that McLaren is so scared that they feel like they need to get Norris or Piastri to help Norris? As we're just seeing Oliver Bearman try around the outside of turn 14, pull a very respectable switchback on Liam Lawson on the exit of turn 14 through turn 15. As Lawson now dives into the pits, nearly pulling a 2007 Lewis Hamilton as he runs a bit wide on pit exit entrance. Apologies. Meaning now that really the main fight on track is between Antonelli and Hajar, as we get a 2.5 second stop for Liam Lawson.
I didn't get what tire he's on. It looks like he's on a new hard tire.
Hards, I believe, yes.
So he's done a
So
hard, medium,
hopefully for
hard
Lawson,
strategy.
that will be it for him. He won't have to do another stop. But then again, goodness knows, maybe Red Bull will throw him at the fastest lap just for saying got a fastest lap. Wouldn't be the first time they've done that with a second driver. So we're getting a replay of a very, very well done switchback through the hairpin by Oliver Bearman. He should be rather proud of that one. As we do actually get a shot of his father in the garage watching something on his phone, which is a little embarrassing. I'm sure Mr. Bearman would much appreciate not having been spotted doing that. I trust he was watching the broadcast on Sky Sports, say. But I do believe there are TVs in the garages, so I won't question it too much. The gap between Piastri and Norris has closed up to 2.5 seconds. At request of the team, we're now seeing Ollie Bearman, who has closed up to Jack Doohan. Bearman's on a charge currently. He's determined to make up for what was a poor starting position for him. He's currently further ahead of where he started. Very close to the rear of Jack Doohan there. Radio message from Norris saying go for plan C. And Lando has requested that that I'll speed up. So because of the fact he doesn't want to be getting dirty air, which does confuse me a bit because we've already had messages talking about Oscar saying that he doesn't want dirty air off the already saying, oh, hang on. We are getting the battle between Doohan and Bearman. Bearman going around the outside, similar to what he tried to do. Is he going to pull the same switch back? He just pulled the exact same move that he put on Liam Lawson on Jack Doohan, which puts Oliver Bearman up to 15th currently. Very nicely done from Ollie Bearman.
Go up on basically suggesting a Stroll may be doing a one stop. He currently has done 32 laps on that hard set of tires. If he can go another 5 laps, I say, in the next 5, he could go on to a medium and then push it. Wow, that'd be if he can go 8 laps, then he would be clear to be on the medium for the rest of the stint. That second stint.
I believe at this stage for him, a 2-stop would be completely pointless. and he would just lose so much time if he would try to stop at this stage. So he's pretty much too committed. As we're getting a
He's
notification that we are now in the pit window for second pit stops.
so he
Whilst
is
Stroll has not done
still
his
doing a
first.
138 lap, doing with 130 low 138 laps. I mean, Sonoda basically is again who's already basically Sonoda and Ocon basically doing 130.
Big news there. George Russell has just been told he's going to the end of the race on these tires.
Oh,
George Russell has been told he is doing a one stop. This is big stuff for McLaren. This might mean that McLaren decides that they're going to try to brave it on these hard compound tires. I haven't heard much from Oscar Piastri. As Isaac Hadjar comes into the pits, I have not heard much from Oscar Piastri about how he feels about the tires. I would assume possibly the silence may be saying that he feels fine.
so
But
so
if
Oscar
Norris
Norris
were to
Russell
pit,
all
I think he might net lose.
yeah. So Oscar Norris Russell all pitted at the same about the same lap. Norris one lap later. So yeah, that's a gamble. It's we'll see if I mean if they think Russell can do it. That would put pressure on both Oscar and Norris to stay on those tires.
So Norris
Uh,
has
with
just been told that if he has that at this stage the race is just a matter of patience, and that basically saying that he will be allowed to fight for the race lead approaching the end of the race. Pretty much saying we don't want to push the tires too much now, because if he does reach a point where he does have to pit and then has to try to catch George after pitting, Lando Norris would likely net lose out. And with Lando Norris being the current championship leader and George currently moving into second in the championship as things stand, losing out to George, I haven't done the maths, but that might put George Russell into the lead of the championship. Of course, not including the extra positions that Lando Norris would lose through pitting, as he would likely lose out to both Ferraris and Verstappen.
Earl just did a 137.9 lap, and he's still on his original hard tires. He's done
Yeah,
34
I.
laps on those tires. This
Oh,
is
uh, small risk of rain, apparently, in the last 3 laps, according to McLaren. Only stage one rain, but that could be the sort of thing that spins someone off who's on highly degraded tires. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
that would if you wanted to throw chaos into the end of this race, that would do it. I mean that's what happened in Sochi with Lando. The race that rain came in and he stayed on those
Yeah.
slicks too long.
Hmm. One person that is worth mentioning is, or people, are the Williams drivers. Alex Albon has made his way up to 11th and Carlos up to 13th, which would make it seem like staying out on those mediums might work out for them, because I would believe they would quite comfortably be able to pull off a one stopper, as we see Carlos and fighting out for 13th position, and Behrman gets it. Tsunoda has dived into the pits, with Behrman once again on the radio saying ciao to the driver who he speeds past. As another very good pit stop for Yuki Tsunoda, 2.3, um, which currently puts Tsunoda ahead of Hadjar, who also has the fastest lap of a 1:35.868.
Yuki did go to a new set of hard tires on that
Yes.
pit stop.
So the
So that was
racing bulls are clearly betting on pitting being the play. It's currently out on track. Not much is going on. No one's in DRS. The closest pair are the Racing Bulls down in 15th and 16th. So I would tend to agree with Lando's race engineer. This is indeed the quiet part of the race. We are currently on lap 37 of 56, so just under 20 laps left. Still going to be a very interesting race. Stroll is now pitting.
Is it? Okay.
I'm,
So that's 35
it'll
laps
be,
with 20 to go. Hulkenberg went 20 laps on that medium tire. It's possible. I would have hoped they would have gone a couple more laps, but now Stroll is now pitting. Again, this is his first pit, so this is interesting.
and it can be reasonably assumed that Stroll won't have to pit again. So he will be running these medium compound tyres to the end of the race, which he should just manage to do. As we're just seeing Hamilton and Verstappen, 2 laps until Verstappen will be in striking range. With a radio message to Verstappen saying, really simply put, get on with it. Which I'm sure
He's been 23 laps on that
Hamilton.
hard tire.
Hamilton
to the
has just
pits.
dived into the pits.
Okay, so Hamilton to the pits.
And that's not a terrible stop for Lewis Hamilton, 2.3.
And he's gone to hard tires as well. So Hamilton on a new set of hard tires. It's odd.
Drops Hamilton in 6th.
We're showing that Stroll went to a used set of medium tires, but they don't have a lap history on them, which is odd.
Oh. It might, because Aston Martin does often scrub tires, so it might be that he did an out lap and then came straight back in on a medium set of tires just to put a heat cycle through them. If I were to guess, that would probably be the reason, especially considering it's an Aston Martin.
Yaman is asking what the pit window for hards. So about 25 laps is what we're looking for the pit window on those. I know Isaac came in under 21, Tsunoda 24. But we're looking about 25 laps approximately. Is how many laps they're going to get on those hards. So with we're in that window right now for those who started on the medium and went to the hards. It looks like it's a medium hard strategy for those.
With Pierre Gasly, I don't know off the top of my head if that's a net P10. Like whether that is the true position, but they are currently sure as hell fighting like it is. That'd be a very impressive race for Ollie
it is
Behrman
track position P10.
This is track position. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, this is definitely for track position.
Okay.
Both
so
have pitted once.
Report for Oscar Piastri. Oscar has just come on the radio that he believes he can make it to the end of the race on these hot tires. So we can assume that he will be that this will be a one-stop race for Piastri, Russell, and probably both Williams. Everyone else, it's up in the air, of course, excluding those who've already done 2 pit stops.
So the one thing about the Gasly Behrman fight we need to note is that Behrman is on medium. He's on a newer set of medium tires. Gasly's so Gasly has to pit again because he's done two stints on mediums. That's correct.
Yeah,
I thought he went to hards.
As Behrman's, no, I believe those are medium. Yes, Hang on.
I'm
No,
looking at
they are
Gasly's.
definitely medium. They're definitely medium tires on that Alpine. Ollie Behrman's going for it around the outside, and Oliver Behrman currently having the drive of his life. Even if they both have to stop again, there's a chance that Ollie might not have to, considering the fact that he started on hard compound tires and ran on them for only a
No,
couple laps
he's
less time than Stroll did.
he's got to
He,
go. He's got to go. He's probably got 5 laps left on those tires, and then he's got to go maybe to another. If he goes 5 laps, then he can go to another medium set of tires. So he would have done a
right.
hard medium strategy.
Okay. Still very strong scrapping from Ollie, who might not quite score a point, but has made up a lot of positions after a rough qualifying session, starting P17 from memory. Currently, the gap out ahead is 2.9 seconds. I would assume with the fact that Lando is loosely keeping pace with with uh with Piastri, I would he's like probably going to go for the top strategy. And so we're also getting a message showing that Hamilton is going quite comfortably faster than Verstappen, as he's also set the fastest lap of a 1:35.487. And as a byproduct, Hamilton, even if Verstappen were to pit, will probably hold net fifth place. However, at this stage, it may be worth it for Verstappen to brave it on these hard compound tyres to try to hang on to that position. Currently on lap 42 of 56 with 14 laps left to go. And currently, other than pit stops, which aren't even happening right now, not much is going on. Yuki
Hamilton
Tsunoda,
on a very
he's looking
flying lap
to
at the
doing.
moment. Hamilton was
Yes,
the fastest
that was
first and
very
second
good.
sector, so that's um, he has the fastest lap already, 1:35.487. So
Yeah.
this is going to come in that round that range, if not better.
Hmm.
Yes, he does a 1:35.069. So he had to jump at about half a second on his best lap time. Did not improve sector 3, but he did sector 1, sector 2, huge improvements.
Uh, Messages to Max Verstappen saying that this is good pace for him, which would lead me to believe that they will likely stick it out on these tyres. Because at this stage, if they were to pit and try to catch Hamilton, the longer they wait, the harder it's going to become.
You mean Leclerc? I mean,
Um,
basically, Max is doing a low 136 at the moment.
hmm.
And Charles is doing a mid 136, 136.5. Russell doing a 136.4, so a mid. So I mean, Verstappen slightly faster by a few tenths than Leclerc and Russell ahead of them.
Worth mentioning Lance Stroll's long first into starting to pay out as he is now catching Carlos Sainz. They will be fighting for 12th, as Tsunoda is also close to the rear of Jack Doohan as they fight for 14th.
We've just passed 138,000 subscribers. Thank you, everyone. I want to thank the 12,000 you are
Very
watching
nice.
right now. We are about 250 likes away from 3,000 as well. I want to thank everyone who's here. Again, the family, the army, whatnot. Again, you're listening to Racing's YouTube channel. You guys have been listening mostly to Evan tonight. I've been coming in as needed in support tonight. Again, this is Crash with Evan. Evan being our masters of numbers in our Discord channel.
Just looking up as we see Lance Stroll. Yes, very comfortably making that move on Carlos Sainz. Looking quite handy in that Aston Martin compared to Carlos, who seems to have been struggling with pace in that Williams.
I'm like asking
Yuki
if will
Tsunoda still
McLaren swap positions to get Norris higher in the point. I don't think so. There's a 4.5 second gap between Oscar and Norris. There's no. I mean, they were gonna they were saying that Oscar was gonna help Norris. I don't know what. I guess by speeding up, he gave Norris more clear air. So ultimately, basically, there's no with that much of a gap between the two. There's no reason to swap them. That would be
and crucially,
obvious.
no.
Yeah, I mean that'd be obvious. Team rules. There's no reason for it.
And
And
at this
again,
stage in the championship, there's not enough is gained through it. If Lando Norris was in a heated fight with Verstappen and Oscar was quite comfortably out of the picture for the championship, then maybe I could see it happening. But at this stage, there's no reason to not let Piastri have this win. And as much as Australia did go well, which means he's currently, I believe, only sixth in the championship, there's no reason to believe that he couldn't fight for the championship as much as Lando could. They're both in the same car, and at only the second weekend in the year, it's unfair to not even let them fight as whilst I'm talking. Yeah. We see Tsunoda make the move on Jack Doohan.
Here's the thing. Let Oscar have the win. Let him be happy because you're gonna need him later in the season. When it really matters. Oscar, you're gonna need Oscar to do something for Lando. Make him happy. It's basically the strategy at the moment. The other side of it is Max is just told by his engineer that everyone ahead of them are pretty much rolling the dice on the one-stop strategy. And they're not exactly sure what will happen at the end of the race because they're kind of pushing those hard tires harder than we expected. So that's where we're at the moment.
We do see Tsunoda and Doohan already catching Carlos, which looks like the long first stint has worked for one of the two Williams. We get a message to Charles Leclerc to use less curb in turn 2 as they fear their limit as they go through there. As we also see Yuki is closing up to Carlos Sainz, and Lance Stroll is closing up to Pierre Gasly for 11th, and Sainz and Tsunoda for 13th, respectively. Oh, sorry, and Hadjar is also catching Doohan for 15th. With a lot of people on the move in the to the back and midfield. We are 1 lap away from 10 laps remaining, which rate it currently looks like a rather comfortable win for Oscar Piastri, unless something like, God forbid, someone suggests rain in the last 3 laps. It should be a rather straightforward race.
Well, again, we also got the weather classification class 1 on the last lap. It possibly is what they're saying. Again, we don't know what's going to happen with these hard tires at the end of the race because they're going to push. They're pushing them harder than we expected, and that's interesting.
As we do just get an update from Lando Norris, race engineer, as I speak of it, that as we see Isaac Hadjar going for the move on Jack. That's very. They both leave the track there, I believe. Isaac Hadjar did not gain a position there. I think Jack ran deep and, as a byproduct, forced Hadjar off track. I doubt that'll sit popular with many people, as Yuki Tsunoda is getting very, very close to the rear of Carlos Sainz. One thing worth mentioning, as Bortoleto passes Hulkenberg for 18th, is that Oliver Behrman is yet to come into the pits. I'm not suggesting that he's going to necessarily, as he will be struggling a lot. Oh, that's damage. Yes, that's damage to Yuki Tsunoda's front wing. It would appear he and Carlos have come together and made contact, and that's a fair bit of damage. He's going to be losing a lot of downforce. That would explain why he's dropped off from the rear of Carlos Sainz, and Doohan and Hadjar are both closing in on him very quickly. I would expect that that they have to pit with that level of damage, as we're seeing, yes, a replay of Doohan and Hadjar, Doohan locking up into turn 14, Hadjar on the outside being forced off track as a byproduct. Yeah, Tsunoda's got no straight line speed. He's about to be passed by both Doohan and Hadjar. I would assume it doesn't make any sense to defend. Oh, it's getting close. Yeah, Tsunoda gives him a wide berth, so Hadjar can make it through there, as I do believe that will have to be a pit stop. Yes, that is a pit stop for Yuki Tsunoda. That is major front wing damage, with most of the main part of the front wing having damage on it. I'm yet to see a replay of what happened, so I don't know if we can start throwing any blame towards Carlos. It might have just been a racing incident, but currently, that's rather unfair for Yuki, who was looking to have a quite strong race. The racing, it has been noted by the stewards. As yeah, the front wing's falling apart as they're trying to take it off. That'll be 17.6 second pit stop. We're getting a replay here. Oh, what? The wing just broke. That wasn't contact with Carlos. The wings just completely snapped off. I would have. Oh no, sorry. The incident being noted was Doohan and Hadjar. But yes, that's really unfortunate for Yuki Tsunoda. The wing just completely snapped, which does mean Tsunoda has now been lapped. The first car to be lapped. Piastri, of course, now approaching Nico Hulkenberg, assuming that Piastri will probably make up that position sooner or later. Still worth mentioning that Oliver Behrman, once again, still has not pitted and is still holding a reasonably comfortable gap ahead of Pierre Gasly. At this rate, unless the tyres absolutely fall off, if I was Ollie Behrman, I'd be questioning any need to pit. It'll be hard. It will be really hard, but along with it being really hard, that will be 1 point for him. For Esteban Ocon, his teammate down the road, that'll be 6 points for him. That'll be 7 points for Haas, whilst they've been looking not great at the start of this season. As we see, the Doohan and Hadjar incident is under investigation. With Hadjar under investigation, that's... Oh no, sorry, Hadjar and Doohan. Sorry, the yellow exclamation mark had only popped up next to Hadjar's name, which did confuse me, as it looked like that would have been, if anyone's fault, Doohan, as it was Doohan forcing Hadjar one through the hairpin.
I think that would be if Behrman stays on track and finishes P10 on that medium tire. I mean, there are 8 laps left to go again. Again, you're listening to Racing to the YouTube channel. We got 8 laps to go in the Chinese Grand Prix. Again, this is Grash. Again, you guys have been listening mostly to Evan tonight on the channel. Thank you guys for support for him, as again, one of the first races he's done on. Actually, this is the first race you've done on the channel. So
yes, thank you guys for the support so much. As Isaac and Jack are getting very close through turn 1 and turn 2. Feeling like the move is nearly it's destined to happen. We've also hit 3,000 likes. Thank you so much for the support. It's much appreciated. Currently sitting at 13.6 thousand.
People are asking what Doohan's doing. He's defending.
Yeah, he's defending for his life, to put it really simply. And not that it may particularly matter, but for those who care to, the driver of the day vote has begun. So for those who care to cast their votes for that, now is the time. Worth asking, whilst not much is going on, Crash, who would you say is your driver of the day?
I'm gonna give it to Bierman right now because if he sticks, I think he's gonna stick it out and get P10, get that point. To go with so many laps on that medium tire, that's pretty much impressive. After that, it's obviously Oscar. He's controlled this race from beginning to end. He's right now he's past Hulkenberg. He's about to pass Bortolo on track again. Bortolo is going to get a blue flag, which means he's got to again, as in F1, if you're being lapped, basically you are given a blue flag, which indicating to pull over to let faster cars go by.
Yes,
So
I 100%
yeah,
agree with you, Behrman.
yeah. The
He
one
has
driver
to
that
be the favorite.
the fact that Yuki's wing broke, such such a good drive from him all day, and then for have that wing to break and have a stop and drop. Again, he's on a medium tire, but he's P19, and that's he's been lapped already. So there's not much we can do. Again, Leclerc and Verstappen just passed him on track, so he's not just.
We just got a notification of a 10-second time penalty for Jack Doohan for forcing another driver off track. That will drop him to 16th, ahead of Bortoletto, however, behind Lawson. That's pretty rough. I feel like 10 seconds is a lot for that. Having watched that
That's where they've gone. That's where they've gone with those penalties. It's not a 5-second penalty, but a 10-second penalty at this point.
Also worth mentioning, Verstappen is pretty much on the verge of striking distance of Charles Leclerc, who still has front wing damage. Worth mentioning, he's been doing all of this with damage.
Yeah, the fact that I know I forgot about that. I just assumed that he had replaced his wing and he didn't. That's actually impressive that he's P4 right now, even P5 with that winglet tip gone. That
Yes, so Charles Leclerc is getting reports of where he's losing time,
so he's telling them he's
hold on to that.
And Max has come up he's now starting to stalk Leclerc at the moment.
Very close. This is going to be the next big move, as I would imagine. Hadjar won't be pushing too hard on knowing he'll be getting that place anyways, and he won't be catching Carlos. And Doohan's been noted for moving onto braking on top of that. Verstappen swerves out for just a second, entering the first corner, considering it for just a second, whether he might be able to pull off the dive bomb into the first corner. He's so close to the rear of that Ferrari. I would be quite impressed by Charles Leclerc if he manages to defend this one. It will be very close between these two.
We have 5 laps to go in this race, so we'll see. We've got action coming to this end of the race with these two.
And very impressively, amongst all of this, Oscar Piastri still holding a roughly 3 to 4 second lead the entire time. So yes, if we're not going to vote Behrman for the driver of the day, I would definitely say Oscar would be the other alternative. We're about to approach the final straight now.
Yeah, the third person in that would be Leclerc.
Yes. Even if it is fifth, with that much front wing damage, is very impressive.
telling Lando to limit his brake pressure, and that's an odd statement to
Uh,
say.
yeah,
Is he might be going too hard on those brakes with these few laps to go. We got 4 laps to go in this race.
we're just watching Verstappen look like he pulled a dummy on Charles Leclerc there, tried to make him defend something he didn't have to into the hairpin. Four
And
tenths
here comes Matt
between
on
them
the outside.
approaching the first corner. Oh, he considers it, but
He does
oh,
switcheroo on the inside.
maybe they're
He gets
alongside each
ahead,
other. Oh, has he got the
and
position?
he does have the
And
position.
yes,
So
uh,
Max has moved up to P4. Oh, wait a
yes,
second. They're going.
Charles
Ooh, they're still
is
going.
not giving up on this position. Uh, all respect to Leclerc, he doesn't have much more front wing damage he can get. So he can go for those slightly riskier moves. It doesn't look like he's going to be backing off. Um, he's still within DRS, so if he has a decent middle sector and run through turn 13, he could possibly try to use that DRS to get back at Verstappen. It was a
Our
very
only other fight,
impressive
our
opening
only
from Verstappen, though.
yeah, and it's still again we had a fight even after Max had taken it. Charles had tried to take it back again. The other fight on track right now is Isaac on Jack Doohan. Jack Doohan has a 10-second penalty already, and I think he said he was noted for swerving. So those are the two fights on track right now as we go on. Clerk has fallen back a second, so that may be over. Clerk has
Yes.
fallen back a second and a half. So Max now clearly in P4. He's 6 seconds away from Russell. There's no way he's going to make that gap up unless we get a magic crash accident with Russell for some reason at the end of this race. Again, we've got 3 laps to go in this race.
Really, looking at everything that's going on, there aren't any gaps that are closing up super aggressively. Crucially for Oliver Behrman, he's still got a very comfortable gap behind him. Rather unfortunately for Isaac Hajar, a possible point scoring scenario didn't quite work out as the Racing Bulls team did not think that they were going to be able to manage a one stop like so many others have. As Isaac Hajar tries around the outside of Jack Doohan, he does not quite manage it, and he won't be close enough for the switchback as Verstappen was. Of course, it won't matter because Doohan has that hanging 10-second time penalty, which will move Hajar up and ahead of him. And crucially, however, crucially, they are too far off Carlos Sainz to threaten him. One interesting thing to note as we're in these dying stages is it doesn't appear that Lance Stroll's strategy has made him many places, as he only started 13th from memory. Oh, Lando Norris has just been told that the brake situation is getting critical, and he's responded saying that he feels the brake pedal is getting flat.
Ooh.
That could be really big. He's 5 seconds off Piastri now, and Russell has gained on him massively through the middle sector. We do see Isaac Hajar trying to go around the outside of Jack Doohan, not quite managing it. He will have to follow him down another straight before he can try again. George Russell is gaining very quickly at this stage, 6.7 seconds now, and Norris is 6 seconds off Piastri. At this rate, it is possible that Norris could be under pressure for second place from George Russell. However, I feel quite comfortable in saying that Oscar Piastri, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes, has got this one in the bag.
And the last lap was 135.6 for Oscar, 136.8 for Norris, and then a 135.9. So that's almost a second on that lap. Again, he's 5 seconds
The gap
back
is now
to.
5 seconds. However, it was about 9 seconds at 2 laps. So this is closing up very quickly. Gap to Piastri ahead is 7.2 seconds. This is getting a bit dicey for Lando Norris on the final lap. Really not what he needed whatsoever. As Hadjar is still very much hanging on to the rear of Jack Doohan. I don't think he'll make that position.
Yeah, he has a buffer of
Yes.
several seconds.
The gap to Russell is 3.5 seconds now. Oscar Piastri is still quite comfortably leading now, 8 seconds ahead of Lando Norris. 3.4 seconds. George Russell is off Lando Norris. This could get quite close. If this middle 2.8 seconds now, the gap is.
Oscar's
Norris
coming into turn 14 and 15 now.
As Oscar Piastri, Hadjar has made up the position on Jack when it appears, as Oscar Piastri goes through the penultimate corner, and now the final corner, as Oscar Piastri will cross the line to become a 3-time race winner. Total domination throughout the entire race, leading from pole position. What a race from Oscar Piastri. Brilliant job. As Lando Norris sprints towards the line to cross second, 1.3 seconds ahead of George Russell.
He did get a benefit of, I believe, Bortoleto being in between those two as they crossed the line. So that bit of traffic, it was close. Norris was, again, if we had another lap, it's very much likely that Russell may have passed him on this next.
Yes.
If there was another lap, Russell would have passed him.
100%. Esteban Ocon, despite being 24 seconds off Hamilton, that doesn't matter how far off he is, he will still be scoring 6 points for the first points for Haas this season with a 7th place finish. As he now crosses the line, Kimi Antonelli will be next across the line to finish 8th. A very respectable finish. Alex Albon 9th, and Ollie Behrman managing to as still Doohan and Hadjar are going at it as Oliver Behrman crosses the line to finish 10th, being the second rookie in the season to score points after Kimi Antonelli, as Isaac Hadjar just doesn't quite manage to cross the line ahead of Jack Doohan, but he will still net gain the position due to that 10-second time penalty. However, Doohan has also put in an impressive enough performance to not lose out to Lawson, finishing 15th. Very impressive driving from Oliver Behrman. I think Ollie Behrman is the big shout there. 10th, starting from, there was 18th, I believe. 17th, 18th. And very close,
Alpine.
far too close finish for for Lando Norris, sorry.
So again, no point for Alpine, no points for Aston Martin, no points for the board just came down for
Racing
the
Bull
team. Racing Bulls don't score any points as well.
I must say, what a race! That was pretty good, I'd say. That was a pretty
this was good. I mean,
race.
This was a very tactical race. It was a lot of, again, who's pitting, why they're pitting, what's the tire strategy. We ended up seeing a one-stop strategy where we saw these hard tires go over 40 laps with the top teams. Did not expect that. Ocon did 45 total on that. Gasly did 46 on his hard. So Gasly could have gone probably a bit longer on his mediums, is what we're looking at right now. So we did see a one-stop strategy. The only two-stop strategy that was in play was Hamilton, 13 on the medium, 24 the 19 on hards. Isaac and Tsunoda did 2 stops, though. Again, Tsunoda's was a forced 2-stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, this has been the Race to TV channel. Yeah, go ahead, finish up.
I was just going to say, it's worth giving a shout out to Kimi Antonelli, who did manage to snatch driver of the day, which he did also have a very strong race there. No easy way of talking a finish like that down. It was very well done from him to add even more points to an already respectable points tally he's gotten, having scored in every single Grand Prix he has currently participated in.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say at this point. Again, we got McLaren 1-2, Mercedes 3-8, and then Max, then followed by the Ferrari boys, and then Haas getting 7 and 8, and Albon picking up ninth. Um, yeah, the fact that we're talking that like Haas, Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren were the four teams picking up double points this race. That's kind of crazy.
I would not have predicted, probably most crucially, Haas. They qualified, or Esteban. Points were definitely on the cards for me with Esteban. Of course, starting at 11th, but Behrman, I 17th is ringing a bell.
Yeah,
For where he started the race, 17th to 10th is like if anyone was doubting Ollie Behrman and just thinking 20, he's 3 races in 2024, 2 of which he scored in were just flukes. I think he very comfortably has proven that he's racing quality. He's got the right genes in him clearly to pull off some very impressive drives.
Zach Brown on here in China this weekend. Notably, his IndyCar driver Pato Award is on pole at the
Yes.
uh, it's the Thermal Club basically where they're racing at.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyways, it's time for us to bring close to our coverage of the GP. Again, we had about 15,000 people peak at some point watching. I want to thank everyone here. We did pass 138,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. That's over 1,000 this weekend alone. We've had multiple people subscribe, multiple people join the channel. I want to thank all of you. Is there any last thing you want to say or plug before we take off, Evan?
Well, of course, my first Grand Prix, full Grand Prix commentary. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed this. Hopefully,
You
I'll
did.
be back to
Oh
do
yeah, you'll
some
be
more.
back. Oh, you'll be back.
Yeah.
You did the beer's work if we use the beerman's work if we want to be punny. You did the bulk of the work on this race, and I very much appreciate it. You'll be back. Don't worry. That's not a question here at all. So again, I know a lot of people were talking about what happened to Ryan. Again, for those who don't know, Ryan stepped back at the end of last year. He basically is in college. It's his senior year. It's a lot of pressure. And he was also a bit burnt out from F1. To be quite honest, he actually, I've been heard that he's not actually watching the races right now. And that's perfectly fine. It's one of those, he'll be back. Generally, those who are concerned about right, he will be back at some point. It's not if he's gone permanently. It's a matter of when he comes back, and it's just a matter of when he decides to come back. But anyways, our next race basically is Japan, and that's going to be April. For me, it's going to be April 3rd through the 6th. For most, it'll be April 4th. That Friday, the 4th of the Friday through the Sunday, April 6th. So that is what we got. 2 weeks.
2 weeks
Yeah,
away.
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks from now. So, so we got a week off. Have some fun. Go play a game. Join our Discord channel because there'll probably be a lot discussing. A lot of things will be coming out in the next week or so. As we head into Japan. So if you want to continue the conversation, join us in our Discord channel, and I'll put that in. There you go. the bot will put our inspector said we'll put the link in for a moment. Um, for everyone on for here at Racing Statistic Channel, we've had a fun time. It's been a great race. We will see you in Japan. Take care, everyone.
Yes. See you all. Thank you.